The Big Ten champs have touched down in Vegas. The head coach, Dan Lanning, rolling in. They stormed through their debut season in this new league. 13 wins, a perfect regular season, and they're back with a lot of new pieces and the same sky-high expectations. Plenty of new talent to get to know in Eugene. Lanning signed another top 5 recruiting class and added another top 5 transfer portal class to go along with it. Finding, developing talent has been the theme since he took over, and as always in the offseason, the question is now, how do all of those pieces fit together? The head coach of the Ducks joining us on set now. Dan, great to see you as always.
Yeah, same. Thanks for having me.
I do think when I think about your teams, it is competitive and connected. Those are the two words that always come to mind, and I feel like it's a continuous process. You don't get connected and then all is good. So when I asked you about how you generate that connection and intentionally what you do in the off season, how is this group coming together?
Yeah, great. It is. It's a constant process. It doesn't just happen overnight. I think you hear a lot more now in our sports being really common for coaches to think about where their players at in their mental headspace. We create that time at Oregon. We create the time to go hike up Spencer's Butte, to go have a meal at my house, or just go swimming, whatever that might be, something away from football to create that connection. It's forming really well with this group.
I remember you said last year on the set that you were fired up for the physicality of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Now that you've been
a lot of people asked me about
it. Now that you've been through, the season that you have and you obviously win the league. What did you learn that you couldn't have learned on film?
Well, I mean, it is. I don't know that you get to experience like some of the venues that we experienced and realize, the fan bases and the teams and the coaches. You don't know what that's like until you're actually in it. And, what's exciting is we still haven't seen them all, right? We get to go to Iowa this year. We get to go to Penn State. We get to Northwestern, Rutgers. There's some places that we get to visit that we're not familiar with. So there's still some things to figure out.
To have that great success that you had last year, it all ultimately starts up front. Let's talk about what you have offensively on the offensive line and how they're coming together.
Yeah, we got a great group. I feel like our offensive line has always been really focused on creating that brotherhood. That's something that's kind of always existed. Poncho's coming back for us. He's a guy that's got some veteran leadership there, and we've been able to add some pieces around him and seen some young guys kind of step up and create opportunities for themselves as well. Some guys that have experience like Dave Iuli, Kavika Rogers have played there, and then we were able to bring in some faces as well that'll be new, that'll create some opportunities.
I know you enjoy reflecting on the season and projecting of how you're going to navigate the one moving forward. You referenced earlier the theme this year is double down.
Yeah.
How did you get to that?
So I actually called Dabo this offseason, and when I was at Georgia, that was somebody I never really got to visit with. They're kind of arch nemesis, right? So I never got the chance to really talk to him, but I always had a lot of respect for what he did kind of from across the way. So I thought I'd reach out and just pick his brain. And one of the things he said, he's like, well, do you like your process? I was like, yeah, I love it. And he said, well, we'll just double down. I said, all right, that's it. That's what we'll do. So, I'm just a big fan of what he's been able to do from across the way and have a lot of appreciation for it. So I thought we'd ride with it.
You guys clearly have done a great job in the portal, particularly at the quarterback position in years past. Talk about the development of your young quarterback, because most likely will be under center.
Yeah, we've got some great competition there. Luckily, both those guys have had the opportunity to have great mentors in front of them, right? Whether that's Austin, whether that's Dante Moore, whether it's Luke Moga. There's some guys in that room that all have unique talents, but they've had the chance to watch a Bo Nix operate. They've had the chance to watch a Dylan Gabriel operate. So that'll be the piece that's missing, but I'm not concerned about the talent or the decision-making that's in that room. We just got to get them experience. And, luckily Dante's had some experience in the past at UCLA that he's able to build off of. Both those guys have some game experience for us from last season, so excited to see what they do.
How does that change your process when you're trying to determine who that ultimate starter is going to be when you're going to a guy that doesn't have as much experience as the guys you've had in previous years?
Yeah, I don't think the process changes. I think the communication elevates, though, right? There's some things you expect with a guy that's a veteran. I don't think a lot of things have to go unsaid when you're dealing with a veteran, but when you're dealing with somebody that's coming in, it's going to be a new experience. I got to do a great job of making sure I'm on the same page as our quarterback. Our Coach Stein, our offensive coordinator, does a great job of communicating that he's on the same page and letting those guys do what they do.
Okay, so speaking of communication, Dante Moore did something neither one of his predecessors did.
Amen.
He wrote this children's book right here, folks.
Pretty
Take
impressive.
a good look. This is pretty impressive. Your kids are older now, but I'm sure you've taken a look at this thing.
Yeah.
And give us an insight into his personality to be able to go and draft a pseudo-autobiography in children's book style that's illustrated.
To know Dante throughout his recruitment, this guy's always been different, right? Whether it's his passion for apple juice or whether it's his ability to write a book or just how he connects with people, he's a great guy. And I think this is an awesome illustration of that.
Let me ask this question, Coach, and you may want to answer it or not, but it just seems that as much success as you guys have had, we don't hear a lot of buzz about your program this year.
Yeah.
Is that something that maybe you've talked with your players about, or you've overheard your players talking about?
No, we don't really pay attention to the noise, and that's okay. We don't mind. At the end of the year, that's when it really matters, right?
Yeah.
I think about the three guys you brought here today who are terrific representatives
unbelievable.
of everything that you guys are about, and we could spend an entire segment on each one of them. But Kenyon Sadiq, I feel like the world got to know him, if they didn't before, in the
Right.
Big Ten championship game, and he scored those 2 touchdowns before anybody was even in their seats. What makes him truly elite, not just as a player, but as a human being?
Well, I mean, just he's a great example. A lot of people have asked me about Dante and some other players, like why did they not leave when they weren't immediately the starter? This is a guy that's got the talent. He has the ability. He's grown and gotten better and better every single year, but he was able to help us win a ton of games last season. And his role could have been bigger at a lot of places. And despite that, he knew that, hey, I'm growing here, I'm getting better. He's improved in the C area as a blocker. And he's an unbelievable teammate. He's learned from the guys that were ahead of him last year. He brings some stuff to the table that other people on our team don't have. You know, we've handed the ball off to Kenyon before. We can throw it to him. There's a lot that this guy can do. I still remember him early as a freshman helping us on special teams. So he's selfless. He's an unbelievable talent and a great person.
Every single day in practice, he goes up against some amazing talent, too. And I love the third-year players in Mateo Uyunglele and Tatum Tuioti.
Yeah.
And then you got an emerging star, I think, in Amari Washington. Share a little bit about this front seven and how they have become the veterans within this program.
Yeah, you know, a year ago, you'd sit there and say, okay, Jamari Caldwell, Derek Harmon, like our strength was really inside. Now we're going to have some younger hats inside, and our strength is really probably outside with Mateo, with Tatum. But I think what people realize is, you know, Mateo was leading the conference in sacks at several points last season. Tatum has had unbelievable success. Blake Purchase, some of those edge guys really make a difference for us. Now we got an opportunity for some young guys to step up, and maybe there's some unheralded heroes that we'll learn about this season.
So much has changed away from the field.
Yeah.
Whether it's NIL, whether it's general managers, a lot of things behind the scenes. How have you guys adjusted, if you've had to make adjustments at all?
Well, there's a ton of them. But I think what you start to realize is there's moments that you have to go back to what really matters. You know, John Neal was a coach at Oregon for a long time. He sent me a text message the other day, and it talked about leadership and relationships and how much those matter. You have so many distractions as a head coach, as a player now, that you can't forget what's really most important. It's still those relationships. It's making people feel genuine, a part, accepted of your team. That time needs to be spent there just as much as these other details and these other things that can kind of confuse you and take you off the path. That what really matters is that piece, relationships.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool point, because I think nationally people think Oregon and the swoosh and Phil Knight, and it's like, oh, they just have all the resources in the world. But you've got tremendous alignment in addition to having resources. What can you share of how that has aided your program as you've gone through this transactional element in college football?
Well, like, the moment I got to Oregon, I talked about innovation. Like, this place has always been innovative, and you continue to see it, whether it's an investment in nutrition, whether it's the building of a new facility right now that we're working on, a new project, or just the alignment of our athletic director and our president to say, hey, this is a resource that the school needs, that the team needs to be effective, and then our players being great recipients of those of that commitment. And that's something we've experienced since the day we got here. It's like, all right, that was a great season. Let's grade ourselves and say, where can we improve? And then challenge ourselves to invest in those areas.
I do think Rob Mullins is one of the best athletic directors that
He
I've
is the
ever been
best.
around in my career. There's no question about it. I do want to ask you about, I know you had some pretty good rounds of golf, or at least you played at some pretty great courses. This
Yeah,
time.
but I don't
know
think
how
you're
good
allowed
the
to talk
rounds
about
were. Yeah, but Ryan Day or you? Who's a better golfer?
Ryan can hit the ball, the drive. He drives it further.
Mm-hmm.
I may have beat him the last day, but neither one of us are good. So like nothing to write home to mom about. But like he could hit it. He could bomb a couple of them down the down the fairway.
What is it like, though? I do think it's cool because there is a coaching fraternity. You guys are so fiercely competitive when you go against each other, but there is, I know, respect. There's only a few positions in the country that somebody really knows kind of what your world is like.
Yeah, no, it's good to go and step in a place with somebody else and be able to share a conversation, realize they're dealing with the same things you deal with.
Last thing for me, I know you are fiercely competitive. We talked about it a lot, but you also coach celebration. How do you do that? What does that look like?
You know, there was a study a few years ago done on Steve Nash, and he led the league in the NBA in touches, right? And he had more touches, whether it's a high five, a fist bump, whatever that might look like, and it led to a lot of their, to me, that led to a lot of their success. They were a team that was operating at a really, really high level. So we show that to our players. For us, when you have success, it should look a certain way, right? You execute at a high level, and then you have to, hit the Men in Black flash stick and reset and start all over again. But we're going to celebrate great moments in our program.
How important is that for the program and just the way people move and those celebrations happen?
Football's fun, right? So
it's supposed to be.
Let's keep it fun. Let's keep it fun. There's a lot of reasons people could say it's not fun. Like, let's keep football fun. It is important.
It sounds like one of your new faces loves like 5:30 a.m. fun and Dylan Thieneman. And it seems as though he elevated a really young or new group to Eugene. What have you seen from him now he's been there a handful of months? As I would argue, like one of the leaders in the back end.
No doubt. Yeah, I think early on he came in, he just worked. And then I think guys around the room were kind of like, man, he's doing this again, or he's doing this extra. And then pretty soon they're like, wait, you were pretty good. How do I do what you're doing? And he's taken on a leadership role just by being active in who he is. And that's created a voice for him. And then our guys listen to that voice. So really excited to see what Dylan does for us this year.
Again, you talk about the voices in the locker room, and we should mention the third guy that you brought here today, Bryce Boettcher. One of the most unique stories in all of college football. It comes back. I mean, he could be playing in the MLB right now. I still have that vision of him walking around with a baseball bat.
Intimidating.
He is intimidating, and yet one of the kindest human beings when you talk to him. What is having him in the locker room? What does he uniquely bring?
He's a heartbeat. He's a heartbeat of our defense. When you say the word toughness, you immediately think of Bryce. Like he's about it. He works so hard, and then to see a guy that nothing was handed to him. I didn't hand him anything. He came and took it. We went and got every opportunity. Has a lot of respect from his teammates because of the way that he works every single day, and the results showed up on the field.
I got one last quick one because I know the fans of the Ducks are going to wonder, is the series coming back? And if so, the content series where you're going on the road, you got a whiteout against Penn State. Like, you have an idea what the theme might be in advance of Happy Valley?
We're working on it.
Okay, fair.
Always, every week there's a competitive edge that you seem to find. Dan Lanning, great visiting with you. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Always good. Thank you, guys.
And very good, humble answer about who the better golfer was.
Yeah.